Hi, Richard. Welcome back.
Hey Adam, how you doing?
Perfect. So last time we saw us in real, in how to call it, in real world, exactly at
Yeah.
JavaOne, right?
Yes. Yep. With lunch at JavaOne. Yeah, no, it was great. It was really, I got to be honest, it was a very strange experience for me to be in the audience at JavaOne. It's been, a few years, but in the past I'd always been up on stage or behind the scenes somewhere. So it was a different experience for me to be just an attendee.
Yeah. Which talks you delivered at JavaOne? JavaFX related?
Yeah, yeah. So I was in a keynote presentation at JavaOne every year from 2005 to 2013. I think we did every single year. The first one we did was this Joplin music player. It was a demo that I did for James Gosling's keynote. I think it was 2005, where we built this music player using Swing and NetBeans. So I had like a
And you
NetBeans.
built it actually as well, or was it just
Yeah.
the presentation?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I did the demo, created the demo, and
Mhm.
NetBeans team created the visual builder, of course. But I created the demo for it and showed the demo. And then yeah, and then we did a Roman Guy was there. I think the next year, Roman did and I we did the
Mhm.
uh, gosh, it was like a trip. It was a trip thing. I forgot what we called it. Aerith. I think it was called Aerith. And it was like a trip report thing, and it was all in Swing, and you would, super stylized, and you'd be able to, it did like an Indiana Jones
Mhm.
style uh, trace of the path of your vacation and showed pictures and that kind of thing. And then Jasper came and we did a whole bunch of we did a demo for again, it was James's keynote, I think, and we did a demo called Iris, which was
Mhm.
a combination applet and JavaScript page that had pictures that you could upload and do all this picture sort of stuff. And then
What I
a whole pile.
remember from the Iris, it was also hosted at java.net later, so I can actually download it, try it out. And in the Iris demo, there was like a circle which opened,
Yeah.
so it was like a cool
Yes.
animations at the beginning. Yeah,
Yes.
and I also remember the Aerith one, but
Yeah.
what I played with is Iris, and why I did it is because back then everyone said, no, Swing is slow and
Yeah.
doesn't look right, and it was stunning what you did at JavaOne. So and I said, okay, you can absolutely do this, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In the fact that you would get really great integration with an applet was something that nobody thought was something
Mhm.
that you could do, but it was like this beautiful animation, an applet integrated in with a page. Everything was really quite cool. So yeah, so we did all of these demos from 2005 to 2013, as well as lots of other presentations. Lots of
But
always
everything JavaFX related, or also
all Swing, Swing and JavaFX. So
Swing is JavaFX. Uh-huh.
Swing before JavaFX and then JavaFX
Mhm.
after.
And how strict the keynotes were rehearsed at the Java one? Was it like very strict or total loose, or how it worked? So what was it like was it you could do whatever you liked, or how did it work?
It was very loose. So James is awesome to work with, super supportive and totally laid back. So any
Mhm.
of James's keynotes, we're not really strictly rehearsed. We did rehearsals, ran through. So there would be like before JavaOne, there would be some meeting where a bunch of executives would be in a room, and you'd go and present your demo, and then they would look over all the demos and decide which ones they wanted to do. And of course, James would have more input on the ones that he was doing, and
Mhm.
and so forth. And so then they planned that all out. Then we would go do kind of a quick technical run through on the day before you did the keynote. So they'd plug in your laptop, make sure that sound and video and everything's working, and then you'd come the morning of and you set up your stuff. And they had a
Mhm.
green room in the back, which is basically just a waiting room in the back, and they'd mic you up when it was getting to be your turn and announce you and send you out on stage. But in terms of the all of our demos were live. We didn't do I don't remember ever doing a single recorded video. Every demo was 100% live. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
in the Iris demo, I don't know if you have ever caught it. My laptop died in the middle of the demo, just straight up died. And there were three screens up there, and we had three different laptops. One on I don't know, different browsers or different operating systems or whatever it was. But Ken Russell had one, I had one, Jasper had one. And when mine died, whoever was in charge of the AV, they very quickly switched my big screen on the stage, right, the display of it on the stage, from my computer to a live feed or something like that. They got me out of it. So I was
Okay.
up there doing the demo. My dang computer died, and so they ended up showing something else, and I just ended up standing there trying to reboot my machine while it was running. They did a very smooth job of it, but yeah, all of the demos were live, and we never had any dialogue prepared. Never. In fact, I would do really poorly if I had prepared dialogue. There were some keynotes that I did that were not demos, where I did have like proper slides and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I did okay on that. But yeah, no, I like to just do the demos real, because it makes I engage much better with the audience and with the
Yeah.
material that
Yeah.
than if it's scripted.
Yeah. Sometimes I get asked right now whether I can, submit a pre-recorded talk to a conference. And I say I don't have such a thing, and I really hate to record it. And
Yes.
this year I rejected some conferences because they didn't want to do it live. I was like, but this is no fun. I'm not an evangelist. I don't have anything to sell. So usually, if I get a question, I can react. And
Yes.
yeah, and it is true. As for me, it's also hard, to do something in advance because it's not natural. This is
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's so much more fun. If I were a good actor, I guess doing a pre-recorded thing would be fine. But I just do much better live.
Mhm.
Impromptu works better for me.
Were you nervous?
No, not hardly ever. I enjoy in small groups. I'm sort of uncomfortable. Like if I come into a room with 10 people in it and I don't know who anybody is, I'll be very uncomfortable. You put me
Mhm.
in a room with 10,000 people on a stage, it's not a problem. I enjoy that immensely. um,
Um, I also delivered. I was part, I think, of the keynote of JavaOne, and how this happened. The server group got a new manager. I think I forgot his name. He works on another company right now, and he invited me to a keynote, and I could also do whatever I liked. And what I did something Java E related. But I was not nervous, but it was completely different because usually I see the people know and there was no reaction because it was too far away. So it
yeah,
was like a strange situation, but it was okay. But I liked the regular talks better
yeah,
because you could do more fun. You can interact with the people. You saw the people, and I usually have some fun pre-show. I already have a chat with the audience, and a keynote everything was set up, so I appeared at 10 minutes, and then
yeah,
this was this a complete different experience from speaker perspective, right?
yeah. It's true. Um, yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, no, I always
and
enjoyed those.
regarding strictness, so I wanted actually to speak at JavaOne, and I attended the first one in 2000, and I spent time in serious projects and wanted to talk about that, and everything I did was rejected basically.
Yeah,
Until now it comes in 2007. I had a project and I say, I don't care, I will just submit that. And what I did, I hacked my heating and to improve the efficiency, and then I submitted this talk. It was completely unrelated to my work. It was just what I did in my leisure, and this got accepted. And
yeah,
I said, this is strange because the real useful talks, everything was rejected, and this stupid one was accepted. So
yeah,
okay, let's do this. And then I became, how it's called, rock star.
yeah,
And then the first, after that, 2007 or 2008, was very strict. I remember Ken Russell was my reviewer, and they reviewed all these slides before, and why this, can you just do it differently. But then after 2008, I could do whatever I liked. So this was more or less, I submitted the slide, but no one cared. Oh, and then I got the idea, no slides. This is also because then I say, okay, if I don't submit any slides, then I have nothing to review, and then I'm completely free. And then I would just hack this. And then I said, okay, I think this was my hack. This is like on-stage hacking was one of the sessions, which was also very popular. And then there were no slides. So this is like, this was also, I forgot actually the reason why I had less and less slides, because there was less and less stuff to review, right?
Yeah.
How did you like the current JavaOne?
Yeah, it was a lot of really good people that were there. I'm hoping that they can build some momentum and it'll get bigger and bigger each year. I miss the big JavaOnes that we used to have down in Moscone, and just the energy that comes from having so many people who are there. And so it'll be interesting. I was been wondering whether the sort of post-pandemic world, will it go back to these big conferences? But I think, was it you or somebody was telling me that in Europe they're still very big, and so it's like, well, then why isn't it big here? Because there's definitely a lot of value. I think a lot of the sessions I went to, generally, there's a lot of people who would have benefited from it, and I don't, I tend to be also like, well, I can watch all the videos I want on YouTube. Once it's been published to YouTube, I can just go there and watch the videos. But the real benefit is like, being able to go and meet the team and establish some kind of contact with the people who are writing code that you're using, so that when you have, any questions or just want to collaborate in some way, at least you have some contacts.
I like this JavaOne a lot, and maybe because my expectations were extremely low. So what I thought is, I will attend the first session and it is going to be completely bad. So I will go back to hotel and then work the entire day and then maybe attend something else or something like this. And this was my fallback plan, which was realistic. It was like, I would at least try it out. But I have to say, there was nothing negative I can actually report, because everything was good. The food was okay. Not okay, it was actually good, I have to say. Comparing to the previous JavaOne, it was excellent. Coffee was way better in hotel. So the filter coffee was better. Everything was better. Now it comes the attendees. This was the interesting part. I don't know whether you noticed. So I asked in my talk who attended the first time JavaOne, and it was more like 2/3 were new attendees.
Oh, wow.
And I missed that, but someone in the keynote asked the same, and it turns out that 70% were complete new developers, which is very good news, because I asked, as also in my talk, how do you like the JavaOne? And everyone said it's great. So what it means is maybe, the new people will come back, but also, the old people like Johann Voss and so forth, now, they have no excuses. They will also appear. So I would say it would be very easy to double the amount of attendees. I have no feeling how many there were, maybe 1,000 or something like this. If keynote was actually, I would say, below 1,000, something like this, but more than 600 and less than 1,000. This is my impression. So what I saw. Yeah. And if this is 2,000-3,000, so we are already the DevOps size. And if this gets a lot bigger, maybe it is no more as nice, because what I really enjoyed is everything was in one building. So I could walk from session to session and still have talks with you, and there was enough time to talk with people without missing a talk. Yet. And what I missed a bit were buffs at JavaOne. But I was also happy that they were not there, because the buffs was the problem. They were late night, and JavaOne started at 8, and both ended at 11, and there was maybe a party. So the result was that I slept 2 hours a night at JavaOne the entire week, and I was happy that it was over. And this time was relaxed. So I learned a lot, and I enjoyed the entire experience. And even the parties, you attended the parties?
I did not. No.
Party. I mean, this was like a nice evening. There was no loud music, so you could have a conversation. They had a conversation with the Oracle team, and was the relaxed. It was more like gathering of developers where you can exchange, ideas. And the previous Java ones, it was more like thirsty beer, whatever. It was like
Yeah.
a
Right.
real party with loud music. Was more like leisure activity. And this party were leisure activity, but you could actually talk to people and talk about Java or whatever you like, right? So this was a
Yeah.
really nice experience.
That's
And there
awesome.
were small little touches, like coasters JavaOne branded, and there were
Yeah.
posters JavaOne branded. So actually, the experience, if it was way better than years before.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm hoping that next time. I know that like for my team, I'm going to advocate that we get a few more people from my team to go. We have people who are in the Bay Area and others around too that I think, just as we do so much Java, it's like they ought to come. They ought to come and get to meet some of these people and see this
You are crazy
technology.
anyway. So what I saw, you hired Josh Marinocci, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think he started a couple weeks ago.
So it is like it means what you are doing is the entire Sun
Working on
luminaries
it.
are
Yeah.
working now for Hashgraph, right?
Yes. we got more to convince, but yeah, no, trying to get as many as we can get. Yeah, no, there's actually a very large collection. So there's obviously Jasper and I that came over. We have this guy Oleg Mazarov, who many people don't know Oleg, but he's on the performance. He was on the Sun performance team, and then he was on JavaFX performance team, and then IoT performance team at Oracle. Went and worked at a startup for a few years. Then he came and joined us. Absolutely
Mhm.
brilliant guy, amazing performance engineer. And we have Michael Heinrichs, who used to be on Java ME and JavaFX, and then he came over. We have Hendrik
And I
Eber.
remember now, the Michael Hendricks, I had a lot of conversation with him because he was in charge in JavaFX of data binding, right?
Yes, yeah, he did all the
Yeah.
data bindings.
And I forgot we had a lots of conversations because I had some ideas and he had some ideas, and every conference we had a chat about data binding. So what I remember.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep. And then Hendrik Ebers, who actually was never on the Java team, but has been, a well-known figure in the Java world, wrote some books on JavaFX, things like that. Then we have
But he is
Arta.
not working for you, right? He's
He
working
does.
on open source. Uh-huh.
No, yeah,
Oh,
he
really?
works for us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And he is working on open source, but he does it for Hashgraph. And
Mhm.
then we had, he also has his own Open Elements company, which is doing work on Maven. So he
Okay.
does both. And then we've got Artem.
The Hendrik Ebers is like a small Elon Musk, right? We can say right now.
Yes, that's right.
5 companies and yeah.
Not a problem. And then we've got Artem Enenev and Anthony Petrov, who both were on the Java team. Artem was the architect for the native layer of JavaFX. So they did what we called Glass was the name of the native layer.
Exactly.
So it did all the native windowing toolkit stuff. So he was responsible for that, and Anthony was also on the Java team, and so those guys came
And Josh Marinacci, and he
and
built.
Josh Marinacci.
You
Yep.
you remember the name of his project?
Oh, which one?
Awesome Box 2000.
Oh,
Was
yes.
like this was the widget library, I think, something for
right.
JavaFX or something. Yeah. And
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
also involved in the Extreme GUI makeover or something. Josh did the components, right? Or Swing. He was.
He was on Swing. So he was on Swing and JavaFX, and we
Mhm.
would do presentations and stuff together. I think Stream GUI Makeover was just Roman and Chet. I think those two.
Chase, exactly. Mhm.
But yeah, so I think anyway, I might be missing some people, but I hope not. But anyway, there's a fair collection of oh yeah, I am, of course. Simone and Eric. I don't know if you know them. They were on. They built the JavaFX scene builder. So they
Okay.
built this builder.
Mhm.
And they're working on our Explorer. So I don't know who else in this. Anyway, so we're up to around 10 or so people who came from.
So it's not a hash graph; it's more like Sun graph, right?
Yeah, it's like the X Sun graph.
Yeah.
pretty good group.
Pretty cool. So the last thing as an intro to the show is I was at the JavaLand conference, and they already liked our podcast, our conversation. So I got a feedback. So I didn't even knew that people are listening to the podcast, but yeah, they are listening. They are listening, and yeah, it's doing well. So this is a feedback to you. So last time we had already introduction to behind the scenes of blockchain, why it is interesting. Forgot the name of your native coins. The
H bar, the old H bar in Hedera.
H bar with the conversation why H bars are not dollars and stable coins, and so we had the distributed consensus and also the why performance of nodes is bad for the entire system, and we have a dynamic joining. So we covered how it works, and today what I wanted to ask you about a hello world. So I think what we need is hello world use case for such a thing. So I would say today's hello world would be Twitter, right? If you write something, would be hello world. 20 years ago, maybe a guest book or CRUD or to-do list, maybe. Now, if I'm thinking about Hashgraph, let's say from the business perspective, do you have any ideas about an hello world use case? So so what you could build with added value for an enterprise, for instance.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that is, I think, really easy to sort of see the value in and to actually do is this idea of I want to record on the ledger immutably that some action has taken place or that some document existed, something simple like that. So
okay, so what I think for enterprise right now, I'm working in a project which is highly regulated. What we could do is we could capture releases, right?
Yes.
Releases which are signed, and it's okay, this was at this date there was a release. All tests are passed, so there would be a report of tests, everything is green. This was the date, this was the author, and this was the release.
And you could take the hash of the release artifacts, and you could store that in there as well, and put that all on the chain. And then at some future date, you would be able to prove that at that time, whoever the holder of your key was that submitted it to the network attested that at that time, these were the artifacts and the release.
How big such a message could be?
So you can chunk it into multiple messages if you needed to chunk it. But a single message, I think we have a limit of somewhere around 2 kilobytes for the message. Without
so chunking. Usually this with the metadata and will point to somewhere, right? So this will not the entire payload. It would be And by the way, exactly. 2 kilobytes is already a lot. We had a heated discussion in one of my projects. How big is a kilobyte? And
is it 1024 times 2 or is it 1,000 times 2? That's for 2.
No, but in Visual Studio Code, how much is it?
Oh, okay.
And this is more like 2 pages or something of ASCII. So this is like
in terms of how much a written text turns into.
Yeah, exactly. So how is it in text? Because I think it was because of NoSQL database, and the question they always had we had to calculate the costs. And I think 1 kilobyte, we wanted to be below 1 kilobyte. So it's impossible. It's like, why impossible? For a text, 1 kilobyte is huge.
Yeah.
And it was. Yeah. It is like 2 pages or something like this of ASCII.
Yeah.
Characters.
And there are tools that make it easy to submit larger things, even an entire file. Like if you wanted to put 100 gigabytes of data on there, you could. It's not going to be cheap at those sizes, but you could. There are tools that make it easy to chunk these things up and submit them to the chain. But I would think that for most people, storing the actual bytes immutably forever probably isn't worth it. For most people, just having the metadata on there is sufficient. Where somebody
in
can
our
come along
case,
and say, I can prove that these are the bytes we had.
In our case, the data is actually stored in S3 and is versioned, and S3 is you can actually make it immutable, right? So there is a so-called legal hold. So we can say no one is able to change the at3 if it's stored. And if you have the object ID and the version, it is stored forever. I mean, we only have, to put this in addition to that, and we have then a true reference to the immutable and always available part of information outside of the hash graph. But this is actually, I mean, this could be a part of a compliance, Sarbanes-Oxley or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's very easy to do. So we have a Java SDK. Mm-hmm. You can use it from Maven or Gradle. It's called the Hyro SDK Java is the name of the project on GitHub. Hyro is HIERO. That's our the name of the project in the Linux Foundation where the code lives. And so you get that SDK. And what you need to do is you need to create a client. The client will connect to the Hedera network. And that client, you need to have an account and you need to have a key. And if you have the account and the key, then there's a nice little builder pattern object that you can use to create a topic on the consensus service. And then you can create messages and submit the messages to the topic. And it's probably, I don't know, 20 lines of code or something like that, probably.
And SDK, it means I don't even need my own node. I can just submit it to a network and it will work. Would be any added value to have an own node which already does that? That we package or bundle or whatever the node with this functionality, or is it not a good idea to do such a thing?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's any real point to it. If you wanted to run a node, the only real argument for it would be either you absolutely did not trust any of the other people, or you wanted lower latency access to the data, like you were doing a trading system or something, and you wanted to have the earliest possible peak at the data that was going to come to consensus.
If I would create my own node, I mean, this is open source, I could add additional auditing, right?
Yeah, what do you mean?
I mean, I have the SDK, so I submit my metadata with the version information. So then I could write additional audits traces, so like log files, and say, okay, this I contacted the node at this time, and this is the data, and it was passed to the network. So it will be even more trustworthy, for the compliance people. And I say, look, I have the SDK. I submitted to my own node with that, and this node distributed to the entire network at that time. And then I could even re-ask. You say, is it available? And I will get the response from the network. Yes, it is, right?
Actually, no. So you don't need your own node for it, because what happens is when you submit your transaction to a node, it actually gives you a receipt, and that receipt tells you all that information that you were looking at, like has it been submitted to the other nodes, and basically you could query multiple nodes and get the receipts from them, and then you would know that it was handled by those different nodes. And then when they actually handle your message and they put it in the blockchain, you can get a cryptographic proof that it is in the blockchain, and that proof is absolutely a proof that the network saw it, processed it, and put it in the chain. Okay. So for your auditing purposes, all you really need is, by the way, the amount of time it takes from when you submit it to when it goes into the chain is about 5 seconds. So you submit this thing, and now you've got a proof that says, yes, I have this thing in the chain, and here's my proof. And you can hold on to that proof, store it wherever you want, and show it to auditors whenever you want. They'll be able to verify it, even if they didn't have access to the nodes themselves. They don't have to go to the nodes later and ask them a question. They don't have to go retrieve the data later. They can just have this proof that you hold on to and that you show to them.
Are you familiar with CloudTrail, AWS CloudTrail? service?
I'm not. No, I haven't heard of this one.
So there is on AWS is cloud, of course, and there is a CloudWatch. And what CloudWatch is just, I mean, it writes logs for you, right? So it redirects system out println to the log files, log streams, and you have it. And there is a CloudTrail. And what CloudTrail is, it logs for you the API interactions. So there's a control plane, and control planes means, I created an S3 bucket. So, and you will see in the CloudTrail role or user Y created bucket with name at that time. And there's like a JSON format to see, I contacted the thing. And of course, after that, I have the bucket. But you see who did what. And maybe such a control plane, auditing, just thinking, could be a reason to create your own node, right?
Yeah.
So I see, what operations were called on the network. So I see the audit trail, and then if I get the cryptographic proof, this is more the data plane. So the cloud trail is about the control plane, and data plane is this what goes through the APIs back and forth, right?
So it's an interesting idea. So in the blockchain, we actually store not just the message that you sent. We store all of the raw. The way Jasper likes to describe it is, if you think of the network, there's inputs and then there's outputs, and we store in the block stream both the inputs and the outputs, so that you could actually prove that given this set of inputs, the network would produce this set of outputs. And you can do that at any point in time if you have this block file format.
But what can happen, I try to submit a message and I don't get the proof, I get nothing, but I will see in the audit trail, okay, I contacted the API and nothing happened, This would be just additional, tracing. Just a tracing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is you can actually take your message and you can submit it to more than one node at the same time, and they will deduplicate it. And the reason you do this is, let's say that there were 1,000 nodes out there, and if you send it to just one of those nodes, maybe that node is dishonest or broken, but maybe other nodes are good.
Okay.
So what you can do is just send it to a bunch of them. As long as it gets to one honest node, then it'll go and get gossiped, end up in the block stream and everything.
Okay. So, then maybe node is not the right thing to do. So what I would do is I would create an Quarkus service with an API, and behind the scenes, this API uses the SDKs and calls, the 3 nodes, and majority, and my service does the audits. So it wraps the APIs of the 3 nodes, and and maybe this would be additional idea. That your clients can install additional facades or API surface or something with their own business APIs, and behind the scenes they can call a set of nodes behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I think there's a lot of value for. I kind of think of it as like an enterprise gateway or an enterprise relay or something like that.
Yeah.
You just interact with that using normal REST APIs.
API gateway. This is what it is. This is API gateway with my functionality where I can expose my own APIs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could pile in all that value add, like the log, log and auditing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then I have an extension of the idea. I got it. So let's say, what we are doing in projects, right? So let's say I'm creating a service. CFP for JavaOne. So and I built the service. So what happens is usually, I built the infrastructure. So let's say AWS or Azure, doesn't matter. And the infrastructure is infrastructure as code. So on AWS, I use Java CDK, Cloud Development Kit. I build this first. If I have it, I can actually deploy the service. So then the next thing is I create with Maven my microprofile application, my Quarkus application. If this is done, this is also deployed. Now we have the first step. And the first step, the first transition is the service is deployable. So we could create the first message and say, okay, at this point of time, the service was deployable. Then I run my end-to-end tests, right? Or not go completely through. So it is actually not entirely true. So first I create the CDK, my infrastructure as code, then the business code, then I run the unit tests. So if the unit tests are successful, I could already say, okay, next message, unit tests were green. Then if I have them, I run integration tests, and integration tests are more how to call it, more broader, more coarse grain, because I can call database or whatever. So they were successful. Another message in the blockchain. So we see and then at the end, I have end-to-end tests. If they are successful, so next message to your blockchain. But now depends on my client. In one client, we have a user approval. So we wait until the user says, yes, I would like to release the thing. And then we create a version and deploy it to prod. And other clients, we have automatic deployments. So it means we could use your blockchain because this is, for instance, no more doable with Git, right? I could create tags or labels or whatever, but there's no more correlation. So why I should tag my source repository if my tests are passing? So I could do this, but it's unnatural. But we could use your system to capture more metadata, and what I will see is a chain of events which are immutable. And after the fact, you can see, okay, at this point of time, the system was built, was unit tested, integrated, and so forth. And in other cases, it was only built, but all the tests were failing.
Yeah.
I think this would be cool use case, right?
Yeah. And you actually, we had been talking about a related use case, which was sort of a supply chain, a software supply chain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Having some proof of, well, what bytes went into this in all those third-party libraries that I built with, or third-party plugins I used in my build system. What were they? Well, you could hash those jars up, and you can include that as part of that metadata that you submit to the network. And then you can verify what you had at any given point in time as it went along, which can also be really useful.
Yeah. And I mean, in Java, this is relatively simple because what went in are the Maven dependencies, right?
Right.
We have the Quarkus version, so and then we have our Vue dependencies. But I think alone the fact, that we see the state of the pipeline, release pipeline, somewhere outside our system. Because we always have a problem that we have the source code Maven version.
Yeah.
We have the pipeline runs, and the artifact can have different versions. In fact, in some projects, we use the S3 version, which is completely unrelated to the Maven version. Yeah. And if you have, on top of that, like this, like a database, right? It's almost like a Git without the Git, right? Because it is no more source code, is just the metadata, and 2K per message is more than enough.
Yeah. It should be plenty sufficient. It's really the from a technical perspective, using this this service, we call it the consensus service. If you go looking for it on Hedera's docs or whatever, you're looking for the consensus service. Easiest way to get started would be to go to portal.hedera.com/playground. And they have examples there in Java and in JavaScript, and there's like creating a topic, submitting a message, and so forth. The actual code to do it is really straightforward. The biggest challenge that you'll have is it's a different payment model than probably you're used to. Like with Amazon, right? You get an account, and then you give them a credit card, and then they bill you at the end of the year or at the end of the month or whatever. Whatever your billing period is, they'll come and bill you for it. And you can kind of see what your usage looks like, but you always pay in arrears, right? You use the service, it tallies things up, then you pay for it. On the on every public ledger, and this is true also for Hedera, you pay at the time that you use it. And one of the things that Hedera does that was sort of one of the promises of these systems was they do micropayments. So using our system is, each one of these messages that you submit, and I don't remember what the size of the payload is for this price. I think it's like maybe 256 bytes or something like that. The payload it is $0.0001 to send a message. So you can send 10,000 of them for $1, basically. And so the cost is relatively low. If you're doing like a build system, maybe you're paying a couple cents each time that if you were doing lots of messages, but you are paying a couple cents, right? And it is not in arrears, and there's not a credit card. So instead, what you have to do is you have to own HBAR. You have to have an account. You have to go to some exchange in order to buy some HBAR. Now that you've got some HBAR in that account, then you can sign messages, submit them to the network, and it'll deduct from your account.
What happens if I don't have the HBARs? Will it fail?
It'll fail. Yep.
Okay. Then I would say it is almost an advantage because AWS or Asia, I think as well, only Oracle behaves differently. But on AWS is like that. They charge you immediately, but at the end of the month, you get the money from your card, from your credit card.
Yes.
And this is relatively hard to stop them. So what you have to do is you have set up a budget alert, and it takes a few hours until you see this, and you say, okay, now I'm charged more than $100, and now I can do something about it. And what you can do, you can deactivate the services. This is what you cannot just say stop. You have to delete your service or stop your service or something like that. But in your particular case, what it means is I can say, okay, I know that the build, will never be more than 100 euros a month.
Yeah.
And so I just buy per month automatically 100 HBARs or whatever.
Yep.
And then if someone tries denial of service attacks or whatever, it will just stop.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You won't end up getting overbilled.
Exactly.
It's not possible to overbill.
Yeah. And I think on the Oracle Cloud, what they have is a kind of a free tier. Yeah. And you can use it for free, and they will never overpay you, which is interesting, right? Oracle, right? Yes. Cloud.
Yeah.
And I think because this is newer, the other clouds, you cannot do this with business clients. You cannot say, okay, after 100 euros, we stop the cloud, because the model is different. But in your case, makes sense. But what I think longer term would be cool if you would be able, if the client wants that, to automatically buy HBARs. So I can say, if you have a large companies, it is not like, an accountant would watch the account and buy HBARs on demand. They would expect, so, okay, we trust you. We have a running system. Just buy whatever you like.
Yeah.
The system has to run.
Yeah. I think it goes back to that enterprise gateway. If you had such an enterprise gateway, that's one of the features I would add into it, is I would say, you can just come, give us your credit card, give us your limits, whatever you want. And then you just make calls to it. We'll manage the key. We'll sign. We'll submit, and we'll deduct out of how much.
Is there an HBAR API? So could I also buy HBARs via API?
I am not aware of one today. Like if you unwind this thing 15 years ago when Bitcoin started, somebody was like, hey, if somebody wants to buy Bitcoin, how do they do it? It's like, I don't know. Let's go mine a bunch of Bitcoin. Now that I have mined a bunch of Bitcoin and I own it, I will also have a bunch of US dollars, and somebody can come buy Bitcoin from me, or they can come sell Bitcoin. And the first exchanges were born. And that's primarily the way that everybody does it today, is that you have to go to an exchange. So you go to like Coinbase or or crypto.com or Kraken or something like that. Most wallets also have integration with a thing called MoonPay, which is some way to buy HBAR with a credit card. So there are ways to do it. I don't know if any of them provide an API or not. I think that, I'm not sure.
But I could implement an alert if I'm low on HBARs, at least, right? In the system, this is doable. because
Yeah.
you have an API to check, the amount of HBars, right?
Yeah.
So what I could do at least is say, okay, look, I'm running low. Now it's time to buy a new one.
Yeah.
And if you buy them automatically, I would say this would be good for larger clients, right?
Yeah, for sure. And also, a lot of the challenges in the last few years.
But why Hashgraph doesn't offer this as a service? So look, because I will have to say, I don't think my clients would like to play with HBars,
Yeah.
They would like to give you a credit card and have, an automatic release system and not, they is not, I mean, who cares about HBars, right? So this is a great functionality. I have my release graph, and this is the added value and not the HBars.
Yep, I agree with you. I think that there's a market there. I think
Cool.
there is a market there.
And regarding SBOMs or whatever you said with the dependency graph, this is what you said. We could also model that, right? Because the Maven has a graph of dependencies, and every dependency is basically the GA, the group, artifact, and version. These are like 3 elements. So 10,000 €1, and hopefully we don't have 10,000 dependencies. So what it means is, we could model every dependency in Maven as a message, and the order would be the graph, right? So we could actually model the entire POM as a message graph, which is immutable.
Yeah, I think you could do that. I think you could also, the other thing I would do though is I would always include a hash of the actual bytes, because I want to catch not just what was the group and artifact and version, but I'm also going to want to catch, did somebody upload like what bytes were at that group artifact and version. And because I'm trying to catch people who've done something malicious, so I would take the hash of the bytes as well and include that.
The hash of the payload of the jar behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want the actual jar.
But this is already version 2. So the first version, we could actually create a POM to Hashgraph converter.
Yeah.
Doable, right? It could be a tool.
I would imagine so. I mean, at the end of the day, the consensus.
Could I model a tree with Hashgraph or just a list?
I mean, at the end of the day, on Hashgraph, the consensus service, which is the thing that we've been talking about, is really a message bus in a sense. You create topics, you submit messages to it. Now, what the format of those messages are is entirely up to you. So you could. In fact, there's a group, Hashgraph Online, that has a bunch of different standards for different types of things that you want to store on the chain using the consensus service, including files. I mean, they have, but you can create your own. It's just bytes. You just put whatever on there you want. So if you wanted to have like a different message for each dependency, and in the message payload, you referenced the parent message and child, you could do it that way. Or you could submit an entire document, that had all of the dependencies as one JSON document that you then just, sent in a single message or chunked over several messages, one of three messages.
Chunky.
Yeah, you could do it in any of these ways would work.
But could I link messages automatically so that this message is linked to the other one, or I have to implement by myself? So are the messages always independent, or is it like in Git that they are related to each other?
The messages really are just sort of independent in that they have like an ID or a counter, so you know what the counter is for each one of those messages in the topic. But you wouldn't necessarily know what their relationship is.
It's more like Kafka and less like Git, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Hashgraph algorithm is a DAG and has references between all the events and things like that. But that's just to bring your transaction to consensus. Once your transaction has come to consensus, now it's sort of its own independent thing, and it would be, like you say, more like that. So the way I would think about it is the Hashgraph algorithm would be more like the consensus protocol in Kafka, and the consensus service would be more like creating topics and sending messages.
Okay, then let's pick the first idea. Is this the my release stages as messages.
Yeah.
So what I could do, I could create my own bus, which only comprises release messages. This is doable, right?
Yep.
So I could create my own pipeline release stage bus. And if I push messages to this bus, I know, okay, this is always a release, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Can I easily create new buses, or is this a limited amount of buses? Any limit, or I can create,
just create as many as you want. We call them topics. But yeah, you just create as many topics as you want. You do pay for every topic, of course.
Okay, how much? Paying is good, because otherwise it gets misused.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember the price. It might be like $1 for each topic, or I don't remember.
Okay.
But once you create the topic, then each message is a $10,000 to send to it. And when you create the topic, you can also restrict who can submit messages to your topic. You can say all topics have to be signed by somebody who has this key. There's a new feature that we're adding, which says if somebody adds a message to this topic, they have to pay something in order to be able to submit to this topic over and above the normal message fee. So it's like, oh, I have a very special topic, and it's going to cost you, 50 cents every time you want to submit a message to this topic. So it's like, okay, you can set up custom topics like that as well. But yeah, you can restrict who can submit messages to your topic, and then that way, when you know that not some bozo isn't going to come along and fill your topic with a bunch of bogus messages. It's just coming from your build system.
Mm-hmm. I see a Hedera Hashgraph is H-bar. H-bar. No, I found that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, here's the
€1 would be too much, because what I thought about is you could create one topic per build run.
Yeah, but that would be expensive.
But this would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you have the timestamp, whatever, and in this topic every stage would be a message. And then you can pick the topic and you'll see what happened. And so I would say €1 per topic is too expensive. You have to talk to management, This is the messages are okay, but the topics should be cheaper, because if you just create topics, they cannot be misused. They could be misused, but I think if they were cheaper, it is also okay, right?
So the problem with the topic is, so for every topic you create, it's an actual entity that the nodes have to store and know about. Messages, the nodes don't need to store and know about. It's just like a message comes in and it goes out to the blockchain. Mm-hmm. So it does have storage in the blockchain, but it doesn't have storage on the nodes. Topics, though, take up storage on the nodes, which is why they have to cost more.
Okay.
Too many of them from being created.
Okay, then a different question. Can messages have kind of tags where I can filter them?
Mm-hmm. So what do we have on those messages? So the main thing is there's a memo for every transaction that gets sent. You can have a memo. And again, it's sort of unstructured. It's just 100 bytes. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yes, but let's say what I would like to have is I create my own topic that pipeline runs. One topic. So it's €1 is fine.
Yeah.
And there are all messages from all my runs. So what I would like to do is to add tag or whatever and then filter with this, that I have, like in Java, stream, then dot filter, and I filter regarding, what's inside, like metadata. This will even possible in GMS. And if I'm happy, I just fetch the message.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's not built in. You'd have to build on top of the core functionality to have those labels. But like the way that I would do it is I would say I have some kind of I have some sort of JavaScript payload, like JSON payload.
Yeah.
Sorry, and the JSON payload has some field in it that has tags. When that message goes into the blockchain, it gets our mirror node takes all the data in the blockchain and sort of chunks it and then makes it available for you to query. And what you would do is you would get a stream of these messages. So you could attach a gRPC streaming client to the server and say, okay, every time you see something from one of my topics, I want you to just send me that message. And when it sends you that message, you can then parse the JSON and store it in a normal database, and then you can do queries on it.
Okay. Can I read messages for free?
Yes.
Oh, this is a mistake. You have to charge for it.
Yeah. Well, we rate limit is what we do. So There's we run a free mirror node that you can. It is free, but it has rate limits on it. There are other providers who have their paid mirror nodes. You go get a subscription with them. They give you an SLA, and you pay for the access.
Now, question: if I had my own node, can I read for free always?
Yes.
This would be a reason to have my own node.
So you can run your own consensus node, and you can run your own mirror node. If you run your own consensus node, you could query the topic, but you wouldn't know anything about the messages because those are in the blockchain stored off the node.
Mhm.
If you run your own mirror node, you can query it for free. You can run your own mirror node. What you have to pay for is the obviously the operation of running of that node.
Yeah.
So you say free, but it's not really free. You still have
of course, no, yeah, but it's like a server.
But it's not on a per query basis. Yeah.
So I will pay you something, or it's just expensive for me to run something,
To run a mirror node?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to pay us. No.
Okay.
You just
so there is actually for free, and of course, if I know it depends, the costs are completely depending on me, but I don't have, to pay anything to Hashgraph.
That's correct.
Okay. And if I have my consensus node, can I send messages for free? No, I still have to okay.
To pay.
This is always the same price regardless what I'm doing. Okay.
That's right.
Is there any other benefits having a consensus node? No.
I don't think so. I think the primary one is if you don't trust anybody else, or if so running a consensus node does earn rewards. There are so a portion of the fees go to pay these people who are running the nodes. But our by design, this is not a profit center. It's not something like in Bitcoin where if you mine a block, you make $100,000 or something like that. It's like the rewards are set so that it's enough to compensate you for running a node, but it's not enough for you to get well.
Yeah.
And that helps keep the costs and everything else low. Otherwise, that money's got to come from somewhere. So rather than jacking up the prices on our users, we just try to set the prices so that it's enough to sustain the network, but not get like really wealthy off of it. So the primary reasons that you would run a node is you want out of the goodness of your heart, in a sense, like, I love this project, I would like to participate. That'd be one reason to do it. Another reason would be that you want latency is really important to you, and you want to know as soon as possible what transactions are coming through the system and what their effects are. So if that was really important to you, that'd be another reason to run one.
Yeah, exactly. But this would be the use case in our case, right? So if I submit a release, I would know it immediately because I have my own node.
Yeah, but it's like the difference between 3 seconds and 5 seconds. It's not like a huge difference.
Okay.
When I talk about latency being a problem, it's more like for trading systems or something like that. If somebody's doing financial markets, things of that nature, I could see them being more interested in running a node because they would have 2 seconds is a big deal in that problem. But it's still not. These systems, these public ledgers, they make a trade-off. They say, I am going to accept a higher latency for decentralization. Mm-hmm. And so so that's just kind of inherent in the trade-off. So you probably won't see very many people who, the difference between 1 second, 3 second, 5 second is really huge. Mm-hmm. I think primarily the reason for driving down the time it takes for consensus and all that latency to happen before something becomes final is really just so that just to improve user experience. If you're sitting there and you say, I want to, buy something, or I want to sell something, or if you wanted to use this in a point of sale system, in that system, the difference between 1 second and 5 seconds is significant. If somebody was like going to go to the checkout line and buy something using crypto, assuming such a thing was in some, I think Ecuador was trying it, but if somebody was really doing this, then you would care about the difference between 1 second and 5 seconds, but you really wouldn't care about the difference between a tenth of a second and half a second. It's like, that's fine. It's all in the wash, tap, click, half a second. That's fine. So
but,
it works in those cases. Yeah.
Could I have something like a topic listener where I can register and get, this is what already is suggested, right? So,
yep.
But this could run on my consensus node.
You don't need a consensus node for it.
This
You
is
could
client
write.
side.
I say you could run. You could
Okay.
if you have a custom consensus node. You could have it every time it sees a message come to your special topic. It could do a thing.
Mhm.
You could do that.
So what it means is our design of the hello world would be: I have a pipeline with multiple stages. Every stage submits a message to a release topic, which we bought for €1 roughly, and then we have a topic listener, which completely extracts the content of the message because it's JSON. We can build the text or whatever it's for free because we have own mirror node. So then it changes this because usually you would like to put metadata on messages because you don't have to extract the payload to know what's inside, right?
Right.
But if it's for free, I don't care. So I can extract the 2 kilobytes and I don't need the tags. I mean, this is a different story. So I can completely extract the message. The schema is mine, so I understand the messages. And now I'm waiting until, specific quality gates. You say, okay, the system tests are green. And I can do then something, and I say, okay, now it's about to release, and can actually I could listen to the topic, and then call, because this is my code, my own service, and say, now go release or whatever, right? So I can actually flip it, not like it is just a document system which documents what I did in the pipeline. It could be a trigger. So I say, okay, at the end of the pipeline, I send the last message. The pipeline is green. And now Hashgraph receives the message, topic listener, and extracts the contents of the message. So, look, the user approved the message. Now the next pipeline is triggered, which just puts the product in release mode.
Yep.
But this would be actually a beautiful enterprise use case where you could even coordinate, pipelines with that.
Yeah. You could definitely build that, and it wouldn't take that much code.
No. Absolutely not. I mean, this is absolutely integratable with. Right now, I'm working on AWS a little bit, and the interesting part is AWS has similar concept. Similar. It is nothing about hashing. Nothing. It's just exchanging messages, but it's called Event Bridge.
Yeah.
Very similar. It exchanges JSON messages, so I could create a bridge between Event Bridge and Hashgraph.
Yeah.
And if I do this, if I have the Event Bridge, I could do everything. So because the event bridge receives all the events on AWS. If pipeline runs, I get a message. If someone puts something to S3 bucket, I get a message. So this would be actually interesting use case.
Yeah, a POC to try out. Yeah, because you and the advantage you get is that you get an immutable record of all the things that happen in all of your stages. And
because the problem we have in such a systems is that the release plugin back then, right?
Yeah.
Maven release, which was not very famous, but the release plugin, what they try to do is to on release and it'll change the versions of Maven automatically. But we need more than Maven. If you think about it, Maven is just the source code. And now the question is when we get, the version in Maven, when we take it in Maven.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we say we don't care about Maven. So we just, we get the source code from Maven, then we build everything, and then we get a version.
Yeah.
But then we get a technical version, which is usually a hash, some kind of hash. It is a 3 hash or whatever.
Yeah.
And we get another version, which is prescribed by someone, either the company or specification or compliance. It's usually semantic versioning. Yeah. So we have, the version, the Maven commit hash, which led to another version. And at the end, we need semantic version.
Yeah.
And we need something which keeps everything together. And this is usually a mix of own build, whatever. But in your case, we could say, okay, let's pick a blockchain, and it is immutable, and this is the purpose of the entire thing. This is actually sounds already like a blockchain, because it's whether I heard, a few months ago or years even, the first use cases of blockchain where coffee was tracked. I remember, or you told me this. You told me this about coffee? No, there was something different. That they had to know the supply chain of coffee beans, like from coffee to from the beans to not Starbucks, but coffee shops. So what happens? And another use case in Germany. In Germany, we have, or in Europe, we have an interesting law with really hard to pronounce German name. This is like Lieferkettengesetz. It is too short. It's Lieferketten whatever Suppliergesetz. And what it means is you have to prove your entire supply chain and also the CO2 consumption.
Yeah.
So what you will have to do is, if I build, let's say, a computer, it comprises parts, and every part produced some CO2 on whatever, and and you have to have a tree of of dependencies, and this is also such a typical blockchain blockchain use case, right? And the pipeline is also similar because it starts with source code. Source code gets built, tested, and it's getting better and better and better until it is done. It's very similar to hardware, and this could be also tracked on a blockchain.
Yep.
Or it has to be, because the alternative is just Git. So we could misuse Git and commit JSON messages and change them or something like this, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think those are all good reasons for using blockchain. People say, why use the blockchain? It's like, well, if you're doing a marketplace, then it's a good place for that. Or if you're just trying to do a really solid audit trail where you're not depending on any one company in order to maintain that audit. I mean, this is, 29, 30 of the world's leading organizations are running these nodes, and they, they're decentralized across industry, across country, across the world. And that gives you a certain level of a stronger level of trust in the audit than if it was just one company that was keeping that information for you.
Are you going to be somehow certified? Any compliance? Like enterprise compliance labels or whatever?
Yeah. So we there's there's the Hashgraph company, and then there's the Hedera company and the Hedera network. I can tell you that the Hashgraph company has. Okay, well, I don't know yet. But anyway, we're doing all kinds of compliance frameworks, so that's for sure. I don't know about the state of compliance certifications on Hedera, but I have always thought that this would be something that we need to do. Maybe I could say that. I always felt like this would be an important thing to do, because I know that when I was doing compliance audits for software when I was at Oracle, you had to, any piece of software you used either had to have all these be compliant, so that you could just put that as a line in your thing and say, we're using this database and it is compliant, or we would have to verify that the way that we are using that thing was compliant. We would have to kind of take that burden on ourselves. So I always felt like having some, at the very least, we need to have the answers for people. So when they are doing their own compliance frameworks, or trying to comply to one of these compliance frameworks, that we would have all the answers for them and say, here's how you fill in all of the details on how this piece of technology fits into your system.
Exactly, because one thing is whether Hashgraph itself is compliant, or what we need a kind of a guide or tutorial how to build compliant software with Hashgraph,
Yeah, exactly.
So like if we do perform these steps, it gets approved for whatever.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I think that's an important thing.
Perfect. I'm more than happy. So now we found, I think, a use case with added value even. So I thought the first time we can send message back and forth, but this could actually fly. So this could be actually something worth implementing that we have.
Well, now you have homework, Adam. You got some homework. You got to go.
Yeah, I have too many homeworks. It's probably this would be a fun homework, and then I have the true homeworks. But if you think about this, this is like typical problem. Who did what, when it was released, and the only challenge I see here is to have a nice search, right? Because we have to implement the search with the mirror node. In the build system, it is not that hard, because if we have 5 stages, which is already a lot, and we have, let's say, 20 builds a day, which is okay, right? Like 3 an hour, like 35. So we have 250 messages a day. So which is not that much, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
6,000 a month, and 60,000 a year. So even how fast can I read?
So you're at, by the way, you're at about 2.5 cents per day is your. So you're looking at about $912 a year.
This is nothing, but if you're running, the pipelines on in the cloud, you will also pay €100 a month. So I mean,
Yes.
this is
Easily,
But
right.
but I'm thinking about performance. How fast can I read the messages? You have my own Miro server. You did have some rough idea?
A lot faster than that. I don't know what our read performance is, but
Miro
I know
should
that
be cached, right? The question is,
yes.
the technical question would be, can I pre-cache my topic on my Miro node? Because then I should be able to read millions per second. I mean,
So
then this.
on our Miro node, what we do, not for the topics, but for all the other things, if you're looking for account balances and stuff like that, is that we are plugged into, I think it's Cloudflare. So you can cache it on. We have 2 different levels of cache before we get to the database, and then when we get to the database, we have a sharded Postgres database. So the performance is really good. And topics are in there as well if you're doing polling of topics. If you're doing streaming of topics, then your performance, then it's sort of a non-question, because as soon as we see the topic, we shove it out the door to your client. But if you're polling topics, then it should be, it should be really high.
I think it should be. How you implement it, I don't know, but I don't see any reason, because the topic belongs to me, Miro server belongs to me. If I'm a topic listener, even I could create it by myself, but I don't want to build to implement it by myself because I have a Hashgraph or Hedera. So I would like to keep it there. But I think we could easily read several thousand messages per second. Should be possible, if not more. I mean, you can even read, with Hibernate 30,000 messages per second is also not a problem with Quarkus. So it means in 2 seconds I could read the entire year, and then I will find the message, and this is enough. So this is exactly.
Oh, I imagine so. Yep.
Perfect. So
cool.
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. Hopefully some people at JavaLand are happy. It'll be a
JavaLand. This is a nice conference, by the way. You should attend next time. There's, JavaLand?
No, I have never been to it.
But you heard about it, right?
Yeah.
Also, this is my first time. It runs for 12 years. I think one of the largest, I guess, community conference. And this year, Nürburgring? Heard about that? No. It's a racetrack.
Oh.
The German racetrack.
My son over here wants to throw things at me. He's like, how come you don't know what that is?
Yeah, and it seems like it is famous. So, people from all over the world would like to have a run. And you could actually rent a car and go. It is open. It is called the Nordschleife, the North Loop. And this is the most challenging racetrack of the world. And the conference was there. It was a nice conference center. So it was actually a nice location this year. But it was the last time there.
I just came to the JavaLand website, and there you are, right on the front page.
Yeah, but
keynote speaker, Adam Bean. There you go.
Yeah, but it was 30 years of Java,
Yep.
Super awesome. Cool. And someone asked me, do you know any? So it was like, do you know any company who uses Java modules? It's a Hashgraph, of course. And then the discussion was over somewhere. Exactly.
Well, we absolutely do. Lots of
them. Yeah. Okay, where people can find you, and Hashgraph and Hedera and whatever you like to promote.
Oh, where can they find me?
Yeah.
So as with all the crypto world, we're all on Twitter or X. So I'm just Richard Bear. So that's easy. And I think Hedera. Just find Hedera.
Hedera. Okay.
Twitter probably easiest.
Thank you a lot.
Yep.
Greet the Sun people from me. And see you in worst case at the next JavaOne, right? In person.
Sounds good. Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.